Hey everyone, Rebecca Martin here with Rebecca Martin Coaching, bringing you transformational public speaking skills for your workplace and also for your life. And today we'll probably be talking a little bit more about those life skills, but this has shown up in my client conversations regarding work situations. So I think that talking about this concept and some of these techniques might also be helpful to you, and these areas of issue might be coming up for you as well. So today I want to talk to you about the idea, the concept that we are an embodiment of many selves, like who we are as human beings, we have maybe we think one identity, but really underneath our identity are all these other selves, some of which we allow to come forward in our day-to-day life, at work, and some of which we repress. And maybe we allow those other ones to come out in our personal life. And there's this balance, there's this dance that we go through about sharing our inner personalities. And sometimes, if we don't have the right expression in the right situation, we start to experience issues such as nerves, fear, anxiety, etc. But let's just start with this idea, this concept that we embody many different personalities within ourselves. We have many different selves, people within ourselves. The first image that comes to mind is the movie Inside Out. If you've seen that, there are, many different emotions that are characterized by little people, right? Little characters. It's been a while since I've watched it, but like there's an anger, there's a character that represents anger, and there's a character that represents sadness. And the idea is, in kind of a kid's concept way, that it's helping a kid to identify, oh, okay, I have all of these different parts of me. None of them are bad. They each need their own expression, and I can embrace all of me. So, really, this can be applied to us in our journey in life, at work, that we have many different parts to ourself. And sometimes with repression comes lack of success at work, shall we say. So often when I'm working with somebody, we will talk about what part of themselves they are showcasing at work and what part of themselves they're repressing or they're holding back. So, for example, recently I've been speaking to a lot of clients about helping their relaxed self to show up. This is probably the relaxed, confident self. And this might show up, this part of themselves might show up in specific conversations with specific individuals or in specific environments. Their relaxed Rebecca will show up. And when I'm my relaxed Rebecca, I'm relaxing my muscles, I'm breathing deeply, I am taking up space, I'm holding eye contact, I'm allowing there to be movement in my body. And my mindset is this is just a conversation, it's not a big deal. Um, Juxtaposed relaxed Rebecca against assertive Rebecca, who is really focused on getting things done. As soon as I feel or get in contact with assertive Rebecca, my posture shifts. I sit up nice and straight. My muscles tense. My legs begin to be ready for action. I can even feel it in my arms. They're ready for action. And I have a different essence that I tap into. I have a different energy that I tap into. And even my voice changes. I can hear that there's like a flattening of my voice, maybe even like the pitch change. So my voice sounds like I'm trying to get some shit done here, right? And so this is me tapping into my more assertive self. How does it show up in my body? How does it show up in my voice? And how does it show up in my mindset? My mindset starts to focus on, is this effective? What technique am I going to teach these people, et cetera, et cetera. So you might be thinking right now and noticing how tapping into the different sides of yourself, the different parts of yourself, can help you in a variety of circumstances. And so there's plenty of other characters in there to tap into. There's your assertive self. There's your relaxed self. There's your confident self. Maybe that's a little bit different than your relaxed self. There's your joyful self. There's your playful self. There's your young self. There's your adult self. There's your aggressive self. There's your contrarian self. There's your emotional self, your human self. And if you can even feel those essences as I talk through them myself, you can start to get a sense about all the different parts of you that are in you. So here's my question for you. What self do you lead with at work? Who is the self that shows up most often in interaction with your colleagues, with your team? From what self do you speak and do you communicate? Here's the next question. What self shows up when you are challenged, when you are feeling insecure, when you are speaking to leadership, when you are intimidated, when you are speaking in front of a group of people and you feel like they're evaluating you? What self shows up? Could be your young self. It could be your questioning self. It could be your aggressive self. And I guess the first question is noticing if that serves you. And most likely it doesn't, because we usually kind of go into our weaker selves when we are kind of pushed off our center like that. And there's probably a reason that you're listening to this video. So then my question is, what self would you like to show up during that time, during those situations, in front of those people? Your relaxed self, your assertive self, your confident self, your playful self, your adult self? Which self would you request to show up during those times of more insecurity for you, or that are more challenging or higher stakes? So now the question is, can you play with showing up as that self that you want to show up more in everyday experiences, in everyday conversations, in everyday meetings? Can you practice showing up as that assertive self that has a point of view, that has an opinion in a conversation with your colleague that's super low stakes, but you want to practice showing up as that assertive self so that when you are speaking to leadership, you have more access to that assertive part of you. It feels more familiar. She feels more familiar. Here's a piece of homework for you. Write down this part of you that you want to bring into the workplace more. Write down when she does show up, maybe, irregularly. And when she does show up, what does she feel like? What does she look like? She or he, whoever you are. What do you feel like? What do you look like? What do you sound like? What are you thinking? What actions do you take? Etc. And so really flesh out the picture of that self that you want to bring forward more often. When you start to visualize it, you can begin to manifest it, bring it into fruition. Because you can see it, because you can feel it, you can step into it a lot easier. Articulate exactly when you want this person, this part of you, to show up. I want confident Rebecca to show up in front of the camera. No, in front of leadership. I want confident Rebecca to show up when she is speaking to her peers. You want your confident self to show up during your next interview, etc. By doing this, we start to paint a picture of our vision for ourselves, our communication vision for ourselves. And the more we paint in specificity, the more we're able to step into it. If you are interested in understanding this work that has to do with owning the parts of ourself, I highly recommend this book. This is like an old standby. It's called The Dark Side of the Light Chasers by Debbie Ford, and it has everything to do with shadow work and how to embrace your shadows. So there's probably a different kind of slant, because shadows can be part of ourself, but there's also like, it sounds kind of dark and deep. Whereas this is, I feel like, just more uh, the essence of being a human. We are not just one thing, we are multiple things. But that would be the book I recommend to understand how we are multiple people inside of ourselves and how to embrace our shadow. So, what Debbie says is, I'm reading my quote here, um, what we don't own owns us. What you don't own owns you. So by embracing these different parts of ourself, we actually start to get in the driver's seat of those parts of ourselves, as opposed to being run by those parts of ourself subconsciously or unconsciously, which can kind of trip us up or sabotage us in a myriad of ways. So great. Thanks so much for joining. That's the message that I want to bring to you today. And thanks for watching. And please let me know if you have any comments or questions. And I appreciate you being with me on this journey.